Greetings! Welcome to the devlog for Alpha 2 of Update 99 of Hot Dogs, Horseshoes, and Hand Grenades. We're going to start off as always with a quick sound check. Make sure your speakers aren't up too high. Wonderful. So what have we got for you this week? Well, we finally have another alpha. I know I had sort of delay after delay due to life calamity after another, but we are finally here and ready to take a look at a whole bunch of stuff that I have been working on. So let's sort of start small and move up from there. One of the things that anyone who was hanging out in the Discord or saw my Twitter in the past 24 hours knows that I've made a new, maybe a little disgusting change with our SOSIGs, which is that as I've been working on the impact sound system for the game to make a whole bunch of the destructible props and such that I'm working on sound better, I realized that the chunks that come out of our SOSIGs here don't make any sound when they hit things, and so I decided it was about time to fix that. Actually, you know, let me we're gonna need something a little bit more effective here for testing. Let's put a suppressor on it, which of course will be huge when it's on a shotgun. And grab ourselves some slugs. Shotgun, 12 gauge slug, fill held object. Perfect. Testing shotgun. Sorry about this, fellas. So here we go. Juicy. Oh, that is just gross. You can see they don't really make it much of any sound when the collision is fairly low velocity. I have these pretty damped relative to other collision sounds just so that they don't really get annoying. The first video I took, they were too loud and you heard too many of them at too far of a distance. But this feels like a good balance. Mostly inaudible by the time you get to that distance. When you're up and close, juicy. Oh, my goodness. Moving right along, one of the other things that I have been continuing the work on has been finishing the migration of explosions over to the new explosions system, which is more performant, more extensible, more reliable, actually is 100% blocked by obstructions, and has a bunch of other positive characteristics that make it a little more consistent. One of which is that it more consistently blows chunks of things that the explosion has just blown up does. This has always been very inconsistent in H3. You might have noticed sometimes, like where you'd sort of blow something up like a SOSIG and say some guns on the ground might have been knocked away, but then the chunks didn't really blow up, and that's because all of that didn't occur in the right order. Now, damage is dealt immediately, and then physics force starts to be dealt in the next frame. And so, let's take our newly refreshed impact grenade and give this a shot. I think a chunk of him hit him. That was horrible. That was perfectly horrible. Catch! Yay. Ugh. Oh, I feel terrible about this. Yoink. Oh, it just gets worse the more you do it. Yeah. It's raining meat. Oh, goodness. I'm sorry you had to witness this. Juicy. So yeah, you will also notice now with the grenades, one of the big changes that I made to explosive damage is before what was basically happening is when you were within the radius of damage that would end up killing a SOSIG, you would essentially headshot them, because the damage multipliers that cause ballistics damage to, say, do about 5 times the damage to the head as they do to the torso or their lower legs, were receiving the explosive damage, and so the heads would all pop, and then the bodies would just sort of fall over, which just, I don't know, I wanted to differentiate damage from explosions more. So what instead I do is calculate a sort of averaged damage multiplier for these 3 segments and apply that and use it essentially anytime explosive damage is received. So when a grenade goes off, they're getting, I mean, they're still getting more damage near the bottom because the explosion is typically closer, unless I hit them directly with it. But it basically ensures that that the way you'll end up getting, let's see if we can get one just in the vicinity of it. Perfect. Well, not for him. But as you can see here, like, all 4 segments of the body have taken a roughly even amount of integrity damage.
Tornation.
Yup. Grab a standard one, too. Wha! Oop, that might have been too far. Nope! Nope, it was perfect. You gotta dodge the meat chunks there, buddy. So yeah, so that is how explosives now work, and this has been migrated over to pretty much all of them, from the 12 gauge swag shells and the 40mm grenades. You'll also notice there's now a far larger sort of stun range that happens. So let's see if we can get the distance on this right. Yep, so in this case, the Sosig took a bunch of integrity damage and was knocked down for a couple seconds. So you now basically have this far more predictable sort of zone of reliable exploding Sosig, and then a zone of stunning around it. So hopefully this should make these more useful in taking hold. Oh, it stays gross no matter how many times I do it. Wonderful. One thing I should mention real quick is that none of this migration has touched any of the Meat Fortress stuff yet. I still need to rebalance all of those explosions relative to the other equipment and the types of Sosigs you fight, because they've got like a lot more life, and I've not had time to do that yet. So none of the balance has changed for any of the Meat Fortress stuff. It is only the quote-unquote realistic equipment. So, the other thing that I have been working on a huge amount with the help of, at this point, a small army of contract artists is a absolutely huge environment pack of props for H3 that are going to be used in future environments, and some stuff I'm not ready to talk about yet. And what's special about pretty much all of these props is that they are destructible. And this is what has been, what has necessitated a whole bunch of expansions to the impact sound system, a lot of the tweaking to the explosives, and other such things. And so we can come over here and we can play with these. Yay, our plant jiggles. We can smash it. Oh, that managed to not break it. Very important, I have not finished tuning the amount of damage all of these things can sustain before being broken. Some of them need work. Like, that should have absolutely been shattered with a single crowbar hit. So just need to tweak some numbers. So yeah, let's smash this one. Oh, looks like we glitched through it, because of course we did. There we go. Remember, the moment you're showing things to people live, everything breaks. Get. There we go. Always. Listen to those new collision sounds. You know what? Enough of the crowbar. Let's blow some of these up. Wow. Perfect. Let's see what should do against. Look at how smooth that is. Look at how not crashing immediately that is with that number of props. Perfect. You can also see we've got a clothing hanger I'm still working on exactly how much physics force to apply when moving these. They're a little tricky. Got a shopping cart in progress for us to put all of our garbage in. But if you're like, well, that was neat, but that was only like 6 or 7 of those to blow up. Well, I have temporarily rigged up for all of your enjoyments and for stress testing in the spawn SOSIG category of this device. We can now spawn a selection of the prop objects that I've been working on. You know, I think D, E, and F have more interesting break patterns. Oh, we're empty. That won't do. Let's pick a bigger shotgun to do this with. Perfect. Oh, listen to that collision audio. Oh, perfect. Perfect. We should bring you over here with us. Oops. And accidentally unlock it. Boop. Perfect. And let's get something. The crowbar's being a pain today. It's so difficult when you've got really, really small, fine objects. Colliders want to just glitch into things. Here we go. Perfect. That'll work. That'll work very nicely. So yeah, so we can spawn some of our larger crates. No, you go over there. There we go. So satisfying. In fact, if we want, we can even spawn a couple of these, pick one up ourselves, and just smash them into each other. Whoop, that one went over my head. Perfect. Just perfect. I can feel the stress of the past 2 weeks just leaking out. So yeah, so we can spawn some bookshelves. We can glitch some bookshelves into each other. Even better. Like so. Oh, it really doesn't like that. Making abstract sculpture now. Some coffee tables. Hey, let's throw in a couch. Ooh, a lamp or two. Illuminating. And then, let's throw a grenade at it and see if the game crashes. Oh yeah. Or if we just blow ourselves up like a doofus. Try 2. Perfect. Just look at that. Now we have truly made a mess. Oh, where's our... Yep, there it is. So yeah, so if just, I did not have time to rig a clean up button, so you will have to reload the scene after you have made a tremendous mess. I'm sorry about that. By next alpha, I'll actually get a cleanup button in, but I have to write a system for objects to be able to sort of manage and keep track of their subparts, so when it's time to clean up the scene, they actually clean up everything that they have spawned. Oh, there we go. Let's get another. Oh, it's beginning. I think we're getting some frame drops finally. Ooh. Oh no, that's too close. Yep, that explosion was definitely a little more effort for the game to compute. But still working. So yeah, I hope you all have fun playing around with the various furniture props that I've given you access to. Obviously, these same systems are going to be going into a bunch of destructible props and targets that aren't furniture and crates and things like that. But these sort of forms are way harder to get right. And so I'm actually starting with the more difficult case, and then I'm going to sort of backport these systems and changes to simple things like the glass bottles and some of the shatterable fruit and things like that, which will find their way back into the scenes that they're in. So yeah. Anywho, I hope you have fun. I know I've been having fun. Oh goodness. Yo! Kept you waiting, huh? So what do we've got in addition to lots of destructible furniture? First big topic, I've got great news for all of you using Oculus headsets of various sorts. The trigger fix that I put in the game is no longer necessary. It turns out the raw axis API method in the Oculus API was finally fixed, and so if you switch over to the Steam VR beta, you can actually use a version of Steam VR that is pointed at that fixed method. So just be so if you don't know how to do that, you're going to right-click Steam VR in Steam, go to Properties, then Betas, and then pick the beta from the drop-down. Just a word of warning. If you haven't done this before, but Steam VR's beta is frequently a beta. It is not release stable. And so once an actual full release of Steam VR comes out with this trigger fix, you probably want to switch back to mainline on it. So just so you're aware. So yeah, other than that, let's scroll down here. Just some things to be aware of in terms of explosive damage. I have gone through and I've changed so many explosions in this game. I'm sure I have missed a bunch of them. I will have to figure out that are still going to pass some damage through cover. But I've gotten pretty much everything except for the Meat Fortress stuff. Just be aware that the balance and challenge of certain things may have been changed. I've tried to match the original sort of peak power that explosions had within that 1 to 1.5 range difference. It's mainly the gradient outside of the immediate blast range that has changed in intensity and behavior. But this is to say, those of you who are playing any number of the modes in the game, if you're on this alpha and you notice something feels broken, either in the I used to rely on explosives in this context and they don't work anymore, or if you're this made this trivial now, these are doing way too much damage in X context, please let me know. This is going to need some more tuning. I changed a few things involving how, grenades show up here and there. So in Operator Ori and Soldier of Fortune Frankie, you will no longer get 40 by 46 millimeter practice grenades. They still show up as just a troll in classic Loadout Lewis and such in the sort of default progressions. But the more era-specific ones, you are now guaranteed to actually get a useful one. So yeah, so that's in there. Fused throwables no longer can ignite when they're in your quick belt slot. So sorry about that. So that was just a straight up bug. I had tried to fix that a while back and had just messed up the logic on something. And then the last thing in this update, I have tuned something involving recoil for pretty much everything. It'll mainly show up when you are not when whatever platform you're using is not stocked. But this is something that I sort of observed the last time I went out to the firing range and fired a fairly wide variety of things one-handed, and was just thinking about the simulation of stability and the sort of correction in relationship to forces by twitch muscles in your arms and things like that. And basically what I've done is that instead of just sort of getting muzzle flip and sort of left to right movement, sort of coming from your loss of control of the platform, I've turned some of that horizontal rotation into essentially twisting play. So if you're one-handing a handgun now, you'll get a little bit more of this in the recoil pattern instead of just this and left and right. And after tuning it, it feels closer to my sort of received experience of it. As I said, you shouldn't even notice any change if the platform is actually shouldered. This is primarily if you're one-handing a machine pistol or something like that. But I think the changes make it feel a little more correct, a little less sort of synthetic is the easiest way to describe it. So yeah, anyway, enough rambling on that. Yeah, I hope you all have fun playing around with explosives and the new props here. And once I'm 100% sure that this new system works, that it scales as much as I need it to, and doesn't have any real quirks that make it have problems, as I said, I'm going to start migrating this over to a bunch of the other classic Destructibles that have been in the game in a bunch of those scenes, making those be able to come out of the item spawner, and just having more consistent behavior. So yeah. Cool. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend blowing everything up, and I'll see you all next week. Peace.